Real still on Mbappe course. Messi returns for Pep clash. Everton want Madrid duo plus a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host, Matt Frolic, here with the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and Real Madrid are reportedly still on the chase for Kylian Mbappe, and it looks as though at the end of the season he's going to be leaving on a free and joining Real Madrid. Obviously, this is a bit of a nightmare for PSG, especially considering that they turned down a €180 million bid from Carlo Ancelotti's men in the summer. They were obviously very sure of themselves that they could get him agreed to a new contract, but that's not quite how it's turned out. Reportedly, there have been quite a few offers on the table for Mbappe, and the latest one would see him earn €45 million per season. But he's not interested. He doesn't want the ridiculous amounts of money. He just wants to be the headline star. And of course, when you're in a team with the likes of now Lionel Messi as well, but obviously Neymar before that too, it's not exactly to be the headline maker, to be the number one guy in the team. In fact, we've seen how annoyed Lionel Messi was for being taken off, and there's always been a bit of a question over who takes penalties, for example, Mbappe or Neymar. And now Messi's thrown in the mix, and I don't quite think it's up to Mbappe's liking. Of course, if he moves to Real Madrid, he will still get a massive pay packet per week. Let's not make any guesses about whether or not he'll be earning a lot of money, because he definitely will. But for footballing reasons, this one may make a little more sense. Personally, I'm not so sure whether or not Real Madrid at the moment can compete with PSG financially, but when it comes to the squad, and certainly for the future, Real Madrid have a very good team, and some of the youngsters that are coming through are unbelievable. You imagine in a few years' time, and I'm just throwing a few names out there, but they've got the likes of Valverde and Camavinga in midfield, with Kylian Mbappe up front and Vinicius Rodrigo either side of him. It's looking like Real Madrid are building a very deadly attack for the future. As for PSG, I know that money doesn't necessarily matter to them, but losing Kylian Mbappe, potentially the world's biggest star, on a free transfer isn't exactly a greatest look for the club. Moving on though, and to PSG, and Lionel Messi will be returning for the club after missing the game at the weekend through injury to face off against former manager Pep Guardiola, and those two have quite some history together. They won 14 trophies in 4 years when Guardiola was at Barcelona, and since then, well, things have gone a little bit better for Lionel Messi when he's faced off against his former coach. There have been hat-tricks in Champions League semi-finals, there's been another Champions League, while Pep Guardiola came close to winning his first Champions League since leaving Barcelona in the final last year, but eventually lost out to Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea. What it is though is a massive game for PSG. Now, we spoke about them potentially winning the Champions League, this, that and the other. That is the absolute minimum, and Mauricio Pochettino definitely knows it. If they were to lose tonight in a home game against Manchester City, a game where they have to put the pressure on, Messi is back, apparently Donnarumma and Verratti are back in the starting lineup as well, they have to be the team that really goes for it. You can't sit back and try and defend against Manchester City. Of course, their defence will have to be on point, but it's not exactly a good look for a team that has ambitions of being European champions. If Pochettino loses against Manchester City tonight, which could happen, Pep Guardiola's side looking very good, especially in that performance against Chelsea at the weekend, he'll be in a little bit of hot water considering their start in the league hasn't exactly been fantastic. They haven't been blowing teams away. But on top of all of this, if they're to lose and things are looking a bit ropey for the rest of the Champions League group stage, if they're not to get through, that is definite grounds for dismissal for Pochettino at PSG. There's no way he could stay past Christmas if they don't make it out the group stage. Of course, losing tonight is only their second game in the Champions League, but it doesn't exactly set the right tone for the rest of the competition. Moving on though, and actually we mentioned Real Madrid transfers a little bit earlier, but what about some out of the door in January, including the likes of Isco and Luka Jovic? Apparently, Everton, who seem to have this weird relationship with Real Madrid recently, are interested in bringing in both players, but looking at how the James Rodriguez deal turned out, maybe this isn't the greatest idea. So the two names, Isco and Jovic, like I mentioned, they're having different fortunes under new manager Carlo Ancelotti. During Ancelotti's first spell at Real Madrid, Isco was an important part of the team, and it looks as though with the return of the manager, Isco's getting more minutes on the field and showing why he's still quite a good player. When it comes to Jovic though, he's just really not getting the game time, and that's probably due to the form of Karim Benzema. Now, when it comes to Everton, it's such a weird sort of signing that it sounds realistic they can bring both of them in, potential for loans in January, but then also seems unrealistic that a team that is really struggling to break into any sort of European football can then go ahead and attract two players from one of the biggest teams in the world. In the case of Isco, he's only got, 8-9 months left on his deal until next summer. If he's playing, he'll want to stay at Real Madrid, but he'll also want assurances over a new contract, so a loan seems unlikely. As for Luka Jovic, Real Madrid paid so much money for him from Frankfurt that they're going to loan him out out because they're not going to want to lose him on a very, very small deal. If they're going to sell Luka Jovic, they're going to want some money. I mean, maybe not the 60 million euros that they paid, but probably at least 30 or 40. And at the moment, with his performances barely getting on the pitch, he's just not worth it. Next up then, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's news and transfer news that you might have missed in the last 24 hours or so. And with a £90 million price tag for Declan Rice, Manchester United are turning their attention to Leeds midfielder Calvin Phillips. Al Rayyan, who last week signed James Rodriguez, have now signed Steven Nzonzi. That's the team managed by former French manager Laurent Blanc. Elsewhere, and Arsenal and AC Milan are both interested in bringing Club Brugge forward Noah Lang. And finally, in what is a rather bizarre turn of events, UEFA have dropped all disciplinary action against the rest of the teams remaining in the European Super League, which means absolutely nothing is going to happen to them, and it's like the whole court case never existed in the first place. So that's all from me for today. Make sure you check out everything else we got going on, and until next time, I will see you guys later.